Welcome to the Coconut Wireless. This is Mel Raposa, your host, and what a great show tonight! Great show. Amazon best-selling author is with us tonight, Anna Munoz, and we will talk about her book and a whole lot more. So let's get started. All right, folks. As I said, Anna Munoz, longtime friend of mine, well over 20 years. Got to become very good friends, and I was very excited when I found out that she had written a book, and I got the book right here, guys. Perfectly Loved: Discovering the Blessings Raising a Child with Special Needs. I also know Mariana will talk about a lot of that tonight. So let's go ahead and bring on Anna. Anna, what's up?
Aloha, how are you, Mel?
I am so excited just because finding out, I mean, knowing what you've gone through. I thought I knew most of what you had gone through after reading the book. It was just a whole lot more, but you know, the biggest takeaway, the short discussion we had a few weeks ago, was the power of your story, and I am so thankful and blessed to know you. But for you to step out and decide to share your life, every part of it, with the world, with a simple motivation to help others, is just amazing. So I just want to say thank you for doing that, and just want to know I'm honored to know you. Honored to know
Oh,
you.
thank you, Mel. Um, I knew that I had to tell my story. Growing up, I just want to back up a few years. Um, Growing up, I felt like I had no voice. I was the youngest of four, and when you're the youngest, everything gets passed down pretty much. And so once it came to me, it was like, oh, you have nothing to say. So growing up, just thinking that way, there's a lot of times that I did not speak up. So many of you guys know that I was co-owner of a Mexican restaurant, La Bamba, and for gosh, we had been in business for about 20 years in the restaurant business. And so that chapter of my life closed, and I was kind of wondering, okay, what is next? Now, I always had a passion after my daughter was born, who is now 27 years old. Um, I knew that there was some breakthroughs that had gone in my life and with her, and so I wanted to share my story, but I didn't know how. So I felt that this was the time. And yes, it takes a lot of courage because you're thinking, what are people going to think about me? But I had to block that out because my message is not about what people are going to think about me, but how I can help other people that have gone through struggles, that are going through similar journeys, that have gone through um, just suffering through health. And so I want to be that voice and an encouragement to them that they also have a voice, and that there's another person on the other side that is waiting for you to speak and to hear your story, because everyone is valued. And that's another message that I want to give out. I want to give out a message of that these kids, and I call them kids because they're a kid at heart, but that they have a God given ability. So I don't focus on the disability. I focus on their ability. So that's where I am, and I've been working with them for like 20 years, and
Forever.
so
It has been
it keeps
forever.
expanding. Yeah, it keeps expanding. So I'm really blessed that to be able to for this call in my life. I really believe this is a call in my life to help others with special needs.
Well, I mean, there are so many parents that struggle. Just within my own family, I have family members that struggle, and with with special needs children, and my niece, she's the her child is an adult now, and yeah, like you, I call them all kids. Every time I see them, I call them kids, and a lot of them are getting close to my age, But you mentioned La Bamba. That's how I got to know you in a Mexican restaurant. I mean, you were a very, very hard worker. I mean, it was just seems like you were always working. And
Mhm.
now it's what, 20 plus years later, and now you're an author. And I got to tell you, your book. I don't think. I mean, you didn't know you were an author. You decided to share your story, and the book is so well written. It's an easy read,
Mhm.
and I can actually visualize you telling the story. And I encourage everyone to grab this book because there's so many messages even beyond the challenges with a special needs child. The story goes way beyond that and the successes.
Mhm.
But I want to, you know, chapter two. Chapter two. Hold on, I got it all tabbed out here. And I wanted you to, because I can only imagine what it's like, right? You wait so long, you're excited, you give birth, and then in your first chapter you talk about being told that your baby has Down syndrome, Mariana. But chapter two was got me, and the title, feeling guilty and unattached. Now, you're a mom, brand new mom, and I wanted to pick your brain. And for our viewers, this isn't scripted. Uh, Anna has no idea what I'm going to ask, but that title got me. That chapter got me. Uh, that if I was hoping you could expand a little bit on feeling guilty and unattached.
Mhm. Mhm. Well, my daughter is my middle child. So when my daughter was birthed, when she was born, I think that the way that how I felt guilty was, I'm always been a go-getter, and I figured out, everything is like, okay, list. I'm like a list person. It's like, okay, this is what's supposed to be happening. This is the next thing, and this is the next thing. And when my daughter was born, it was like, oh, you have a daughter with Down syndrome. And I was like, what? And so I had like no idea. And of course your hormones are going crazy because I had just opened the restaurant, okay, in, I think it was in June on Rice Street, for those that remember. And so she was born in September, and so we were still in the opening stages. And so here I am with a daughter with Down syndrome who has medical issues. She had two holes in her heart. And but at the time when she was born, I just felt guilty because I felt that, oh my gosh, but this is not a child that I thought I was going to have, like my first one. And we don't talk about that. Mothers don't talk about that. We are like, oh well, you have a child, so be thankful, da da da, she's alive, and I'm sorry for those that, that have lost a loved one. um my journey was, okay, now I can't move on with my business and going because I have to take care of this child. And it was scary. And so I almost felt that, what about if I do get attached and something happens to her? Something that it's unspeakable. And and then again with the hormones, um, I was not really connecting with her. Not really connecting with her. She wasn't Googling. She wasn't, smiling. She wasn't. It was a touch and go at one time because she had two holes in her heart. And so we had to fly her, like 4 days later, had to fly her over to Capulani because she wasn't eating. She was turning blue. And here I am like, oh my gosh, I might lose her. So I don't even know if I really want to get attached to her. And so yeah, it was a pretty scary time. But thank God, my faith during that time. It wasn't as strong as my faith today, but it was almost like God was using, I felt like God was using this moment as far as her medical issues to get me closer to Him, but also closer to her, where I could bond in this situation because she needed me. And so, yeah, so I was, it was a very scary time.
When you read the book, you make no secret of your bond with God, and I think
Mhm,
there's a story in there about the trip to, I can't remember if it was San Diego,
mhm,
and they were getting ready to perform another surgery, and
mhm, mhm,
the doctor comes and says, it's gone. The issue that we were going to go in to fix is gone." And I remember, you're praying the whole time. You're praying, asking God to help.
mhm,
So
mhm,
obviously, I'm a God fearing man. I believe in God. And it was very refreshing to see that in a book. But
mhm.
I have to believe that, and you just said it right. Your faith in God became stronger as time went on. But how can you explain all of the what has happened in your life and Mariana's life uh, without God? Uh,
That would be really hard. That would be really hard to explain because I definitely knew that it was beyond my control what had happened. And so I had to rely on a bigger power. And I knew that I have seen God work in my life before, and I knew that He could come through. But also, I had to be careful on not falling into fear so much because that could really like paralyze you and get you stuck. So I had to believe greater on that she was going to get well. So a little bit of the story was that actually, so she did have surgery in San Diego, the first when she was um 10 months old. They were going to do a surgery when she was younger, but then she caught pneumonia on the way over to the hospital, and her surgery was already planned. And once she when she was on the plane, she caught pneumonia, so they couldn't perform that surgery then. So then they went ahead and they rescheduled for when she was 10 months old, when she was a little bit bigger. There's a chapter there that it was like I felt like I became a nurse overnight because I came home with all of these medications, and you have to give her this at this time and this at this time and this at this time. And and also going back home and having that restaurant and having to also be part of that. It was it was like I had to compartmentalize my brain, you know and so, okay, now put on this hat, okay, now put on this hat, now put on this hat. And I was like on adrenaline. I felt like I was like on adrenaline junkie for the longest time. Like I didn't have time. Like you go through grieving. So that is one of the things that I want to talk to you, Mel, is when you have a child like this, you almost go through a grieving period. Like you're trying to figure things out in your mind, and you're going, okay, I know I'm not supposed to be feeling sad. I know that I'm not supposed to feeling bad. But there's also like that grieving that you go through. Um, it's almost like a death. And not that your child is dead, but it's almost like you expect your child to be this way, and because it's not, then you're trying to figure things out of the unknown. And I think that that's what I was trying to figure out. It's like there was just so many fears in me that I didn't realize, because I always been very bold, but there's a testing, that there's always a testing in life. And once you conquer that, okay, here's another testing. But remember back there, God being there at that time, okay, here's the testing for this one. How are we going to be responding, not reacting, but responding? So, with this, so when we got a scare when she was in a in high school, and so she was getting tachycardia. For those that don't know what tachycardia is when your heart just speeds up, okay, where you could actually have a heart failure, like your heart can stop and you be gone. And so she was getting those episodes, me not knowing, but the way that it got introduced to me was my one of the teachers was saying, she's been laying low, she doesn't have any energy, this and that. And I'm like, well, maybe it's because she stays up too late. She's a night owl. She stays up too late, and I was just like, okay, maybe this is. But one morning I woke her up and she was blue and she was perspiring, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is something really serious. I started praying for her. This is a power prayer that I really believe in. I started praying for her, and I said, okay, in the name of Jesus, I command that artery to open up. That was the first thing that came to my mind. And I started to speak it out. And all of a sudden she got color in her face again. She was coherent. She was coming back. But then I thought, okay, I need to check out what was going on. Well, sure enough, that she saw the heart doctor, the cardiologist, and he said, "How fast can you go to San Diego? Because this is serious. She could drop dead." Pretty much, that's what he said, and I was like, "What?" So anyway, we went to San Diego. I had so many people praying. I had so many people praying for her. Um, and so anyway, to just fast forward, when the doctor that morning was prepping her, he was going to try a different procedure because I didn't want her to have a pacemaker. She's such a little, tiny thing. And I had my concerns, and mother's instincts, most of the time, they're right. And I was like, nope, I don't feel right about this. Please, if there's anything else. So anyway, so he woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning. Here I am praying, and there's other people praying. And he's like, I woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning, and I think we're going to try something different. So they tried and tried, and she was in there for I don't know how many hours. He came out and he's like, okay, she's done. And I'm like, what did you do? And he's like, we couldn't do anything because we couldn't get her heart to stress out. And I was like, what? And he's like, we can't explain it. And I'm like, well, I can explain it. It was God. And these are the amazing things that God does, like the unimaginable, but we have to give him that space, you
Yeah.
know. Are we giving him that space to say, okay, God, I want you to work in my life so then I can be this testimony and encourage other people out there that are struggling? Because, Mel, we can't do it alone.
No, absolutely not. And I'm as you're talking, I'm thinking, back in the day, there was no Google or YouTube or, there wasn't this information highway that we have now, where you can Google and learn or hear from others that are going through similar circumstances. In this case, you were really alone, and your family was just alone, and I it's just hard for me to imagine the stress. My son had tachycardia when he was born.
Mm.
We didn't know he had it, and it was Dr. Nelson was the
Mhm.
brand new pediatrician that had come from school, and she was new, and she recognized it, got him on a plane to Kapiolani, and um, yeah, it's very, very serious. Thank God,
Mhm.
again, through prayer, a lot of prayers. We had prayer circles going. He had gotten over it after several years, but he
Wow.
it's very dangerous. But I guess that's the importance of this book, right? Because you get now people get to hear it firsthand. And again, this is not like you had sent a transcript to someone to write it. This is like you, and I know you, so I know this is your words. But I want to talk a little bit about her first pageant. Um,
Okay.
5 years old, and your friend comes up to you and says, "Hey, why don't you enter Mariana?" And I remember it says Mariana's 5 years old. No, let's
Mm-hmm.
go for it. Share with us a little bit because I don't want this to all be doom and gloom, but I mean, there was a lot of happy moments in the book, and that's one of them that caught my eye. Share with us the how that happened.
So, I had a really, really close friend from church, and she had entered her daughter many times in a pageant, beauty pageant. This is a regular beauty pageant here on the island, and she got really attached to my daughter. And so remember one time her coming up to me, and she's like, Anna, you should really enter her into this pageant. And I'm like, no, no. You see these shows of these moms that are like monsters. Not saying because my friend was not like that, but I was just like, no, I really don't want to. And something inside of me, and I know it was God, but something inside of me was like, you know what, you should, because you should show people the talent that she has. And at that time, the first time that she entered, she was taking gymnastics. So there was some tumbling and this and that. And, I had my friend do her little tutus and her, just beautiful, just dresses and all of that. So the first time she came third place. And I'm like, okay, good. I already did it. I'm satisfied with that. She's third place. Great. And then the next year, she's like, my friend again, Anna, you should enter her again. I'm like, no, 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 that's okay. I don't want to. So I did enter her again. And this time I had asked my friend from that church, my other friend, to teach her a hula dance. And oh my gosh, before she went on stage, I prayed over her and I said, Lord, use her the way you want to use her. And she's all yours. She gets on the stage, little thing gets on the stage, and I'm looking around people and the audience, and there is not a dry eye. And I'm like thinking in my head, I'm like, why are people crying? And I was like, wow, she's really, I mean, like touching people. And so anyway, so here comes third runner up, second runner up, first runner up, the winner, Mariana Munoz. And that's when I started bawling, because I started seeing the power on this gifting that she had, and that I did not hide her, but I let her shine this ability. And that disability, it was non-existent in my eyes. It was like, wow, God, you can use her to let people know what her ability is and what other people that have special needs can do. So this is the first time that anybody had entered someone with special needs in this type of pageant here in Kauai. And so yeah, it was pretty neat to see, because she was able to go on all of the parades. And I would see other people like taking a second look. It's like, oh wow, oh, there's people already knew me, because from the restaurant, and they're like, oh my gosh. So that was really cool to be able to get her to shine. And um yeah, it was just it was I'm so glad that I did. And I thank my friend that she encouraged me to do so.
Well, nothing happens by accident, right? God puts the right
Right.
people in front you at the right time. In the book, Dr. Bagnell, after Mariana was born, said, Mrs. Munoz, she is a gift. Her face
Mhm.
was lit up and full of compassion and excitement. You have a special child, and asked you what her name was. Again, I don't know if you can see this. You can probably see this. That's Mariana right there. I mean, a
Mhm.
gorgeous, sweet angel. She's an adult now. She's old, but I remember her growing up. you've pretty much dedicated your life now to
Hmm.
doing a lot of things for kids with special needs. The book talks about the camps. Maybe you can share a little bit about the camps
Sure.
before we talk about another challenge that you had to face, which was a very serious challenge. But
Hmm.
talk a little bit about the camps and how they got started, and how you packing up and heading over to Arizona. Share a little bit about that, please.
Okay, so I had a prayer. My prayer was my boys used to go to camp every single summer, and my daughter would stay behind. So it started with a prayer, and I'm like, Lord, I really want her to experience a camp. So that a little bit before the summer, my friend, her daughter was going to volunteer at this camp for special needs, and in Arizona. And so I started checking it out. She's like, Anna, you should check it out and see, maybe Mariana and you can go. And I was like, okay, that would be great. So anyway, so I started looking up, who was in charge. It was Young Life Capernaum. And so I went ahead and started, raising money. And the director over in Arizona, he was so kind and he said, Anna, just go ahead and raise this amount of money, and then we'll go ahead and comp the camp for you. And I was like, wow, okay, this is great, because he already knew that the flights were $1,000, and at that time it was like, it's not, I mean, it was expensive. And so anyway, so I did raise some money, and at that time there was a challenge on that too, because that's the time when my daughter was having tachycardia. So I had to put that on a halt, because I had to make sure that she could be cleared to go to camp. So we almost didn't go. And so what happened was that this whole thing got cleared, and then like a couple months before the camp, no, I think it was like a month before the camp, we got cleared, and then we were able to go. So once we got there to Arizona, I met with the founding the founding president of Young Life Capernaum. And I said, hi, my name is Anna. I live in Kauai. I really would love to bring this type of camp over to Kauai. It's a beautiful place. I think that the kids would love it. We have a big community with special needs. And he's like, Anna, you get me 12 kids and I'll be there for your first club. Because what they do is that they do monthly clubs, and we are doing monthly clubs now, but they do monthly clubs with a theme. They have a message, inspirational message. We feed them, and that's the module. And so he's like, I'll go ahead and teach you. Just get me 12 kids. And I was like, okay, I can do that. I came back from camp. It was exciting. She got to zip line. I mean, it was just incredible. All the things that she was exposed to. Anyway, so then I get back and I was just starting to talk to people. And I'm like, hey, we are going to have these amazing clubs. Are you interested? The parents were excited. They're like, yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, let's sign you up. Boom, boom, boom. I call them up a few months later. I was like, okay, I got your 12 people. Are you ready to come over? So that's when we started clubs. And so that club turned into, okay, now the next step, we're going to go ahead and do summer camp. So our first summer camp was a Kahili Adventist that year after. And that was amazing. That was so amazing, because when he came over to scout the property, it was like, wow, Anna, this is so perfect. It was so perfect. And even the people because my son went to Kahili Adventist School. And so I already knew the people there. So that was a connection. It's like God connected us to the right people at the right time. And so they're like, yeah, Anna, okay, tell me more about it. Oh, sure. That is awesome. Okay, let's do it. I don't have anybody booked in the summer. What week do you want it? I mean, it was amazing. So that's how camp started here on the island.
And I mean, how many kids now have experienced that since then? It's been a while. I mean, it's been a lot of kids.
Wow. Let's see. So I think it's 20 2012 we started. I think it was then. So yeah, it's been many years now. We don't do 5-day camps anymore because so the founding president stepped down, but we have mostly localized our clubs and our camps. So we're not funded by them anymore. And actually, I was a director here, island director here for the Young Life Capernaum. And but once he's, well, I stepped down first and then he stepped down. But anyway, so going back to that, it's been quite a few years. So now we do clubs every week. Sometimes we do outings. And the summer camps, we do like a day camp, and we do it at this amazing place called Makanalani. I don't know if you know about Makanalani,
Yeah.
that
Yes.
property. So we do that. We were actually one of the first groups to be doing camp at that location when they first opened. So that was definitely yeah, that was a testimony in itself with that. But yeah, so that was camp in our clubs.
Well, so Mariana was born in 1996,
Mm-hmm.
and you shared quite a bit about her early life, the pageants and the obstacles that she had to go through, and you as well. But in 2014, you get hit with another blow, a blow that, according to your book, had you feeling the same way you felt in 1996 when you found out that Mariana had Downs. You get diagnosed with cancer. Now, how do you deal with all of this, Anna? How do you deal with this? I mean, things are going well. You got the camps going now. Everything. I mean, it's starting to really. Your life has changed. Your whole mission in life, your purpose has changed, and you've impacting so many people. Now you get another blow. How do you deal with that?
Well, with faith, I can't. I don't have any other answer. But something beautiful happened through that. And I was having girls' Bible study at my house. I have like 12 girls that I teach Bible study, and they're all special needs from the ages from 18 years old till 56 years old. And so we meet every Monday morning, every Monday night. And but going back to that, I remember when I get the news that I had cancer, and we were getting hit pretty hard with our finances at the restaurant, and it was just a lot of stress. We almost lost our home, lost my car, all of this. We were just going like downhill, like plummeting down. And then I get the news the the cancer, and I was like, wow, what else can go wrong, Lord? I know you have an answer for this. You got me through other things. I know you can get me through this. And so anyway, we had to close the restaurant, La Bamba on Kukui Grove, and then had to focus on my health. I had to focus on my health, and I'm like, okay, it was a time when I had to analyze my life of what was important in life, because we're not promised tomorrow. And so I was like, you know what, Lord, I'm going to continue with these Bible studies with the girls, because this is what's giving me hope. It's a positive thing. And these girls, oh my gosh, the way they pray, I mean, they pray with fire, they pray with faith, and that moved me. It was like that mountain is going to move because of their prayers. And so I remember one time when my mom, she was very caring, because she's a cancer survivor twice, and my mom is 96 years old. And so she came up to me and she's like, Anna, you need to rest. Why are you having these girls over? And I'm like, Mom, because they are the ones that are giving me hope and a reason to continue to live. And that's including my daughter. And I was like, and she's like, oh, okay. So anyway, yeah, it was a very trying time, but during that time, I always look at the positive. I always look, okay, Lord, when there is a negative, I know there's something. I'm going to dig to find the positive. I'm going to dig for the good. I'm going to go look for the good because there has to be somewhere. It's like looking for a treasure. I'm digging. So, anyway, then I conquered that. I did, and I was like, wow, this is definitely, I feel honored, and I feel also sad for those that haven't made it, you know. But now when people come to me for prayer, or they come to me with, you know, cancer, then I know where they've been. I know what they're going through. There's this fear of the unknown. Am I going to make it, or am I not going to make it? And um and if I can be that encouragement at least a little bit, then I'm thankful that, you know, that I got cancer. I know it seems really weird to say I'm thankful that I have cancer, but then I wouldn't have that platform that I have today. And so anyway, so yeah, that was hard.
Yeah, I think again, I mean, you know, this book is about hope. You know, it's about promise. It's about faith, and you know, I mean, God saw you as the vehicle to help
Mhm.
others, and
Mhm.
I mean, that's a rough way to be the messenger, but um, now you have that platform, you have that experience, and you can help so many people. And I before we end tonight, I'm going to ask you how did you decide to write a book? But before we get there, there's a couple of things. One that I don't want to forget is the prom, and we'll talk about that last. But you know, my one of my favorite chapters in the book was about our time together. It's towards the end of the book, and you talk about this amazing experience of being able to spend all of this quality time with Mariana and your other children as well. But Mariana and you had this bond, and a lot of it was forced. I mean, you know, you had no choice. But in that experience, the way you wrote that chapter about just your love with spending time with Mariana, maybe you can share about that a little bit.
Sure. So, you know, going back to the beginning of the book, I never thought that I could have such a special close bond with my daughter. And everybody has a bond, I mean, with their children. But it is such a special bond because I know I'm going to have her until I get older, like older, like, you know. And some people, I mean, like my kids, my boys, they're already gone. They already like have their own families. My daughter is my family. And so we've been able to have like a lot of fun things together, you know, and also some missions that we've done together, here in Kauai. You know, we've been able to volunteer at the library. We've been able to deliver food to the elderly, you know, after the pandemic. It was they We started helping out with that. We've been able to volunteer at the Hawaii Food Bank together. Um, I think one of the things that I have taught my daughter is that it is fun to give because you get rewards, not so much on the monetary side, but in that it takes them out of their own needs and they go, wow, there's other people that have needs and I can help. She loves to help. And so I've shown her that, you know, and so that's one of the things where we bonded. It's in helping out, helping others. Um, there's been times when I'm walking with her somewhere and somebody needs prayer, and I'm praying for that person, and she sees that. That's another opportunity for bonding. And we've gone on trips together. It's fun trips. I remember one time when we went parasailing. Now, this is when my kids were young. So it was my boys and then my daughter. But who would be crazy enough to take their, I think at the time she must have been like 9 years old or 10. And it's like, come on, we're going parasailing, zip lining. I mean, things like that, that is just roller coasters. She loves roller coasters. Just like mom. But just fun things. And I've shown her not to fear, not to be afraid. Yes, we're going to go through hard times. There's a chapter in the book that I want to bring up, because that is one of the chapters that was very teary-eyed for me, and that was people that she bonded with in school, and the love that she has, the compassion that she had for these couple of kids in particular, that they're no longer with us. It was just so special to see. It was so special to see. um because it's almost like she has like the sixth sense of when somebody's suffering, and she'll go up to them, and she's kind of like a mama. She loves to nurture, and she'll go up to them, and then she'll just start, she'll put her arm around them, and not really like talking, but just getting close to them, and they're like, oh my gosh, how did she know that I needed that hug? And so I talk about that too in the book, because that is actually one of my favorite books, is just what a loving, compassionate human being she is, where some of us need that. Some of us don't have that, and we need to learn from them. There's so many things we can learn from them. And I've learned so much from her. Patience and interpreting, sign. I actually teach this group of girls in the Bible study to do a creative sign dance. So they've already learned like about 20 some songs in sign language, in creative sign. And so but yeah, it's just, and that's bonded us too, because we've done creative sign dance together, we performed together. So that's really cool.
That chapter in the book that you just mentioned, I purposely stayed away from because I don't want to cry during my my videos. I don't. But her friend, the girl, is my brother's niece, and we're very very close with that family. And I mean, I so when she passed away, she was always at all the family parties, and she was just such an amazing person. And she passed away, and it made a difference after that. It's not the same. It's just not the same. So I purposely stayed away from that. But you brought it up. That's the thing about being unscripted. It's like nothing's taboo here on the show. Um, what is Mariana's relationship with God right now?
Oh, she loves the Lord. She has a great relation. Every day before she eats, she'll pray before eating. Every single day. Every single day. I'm not kidding. I sometimes, I confess, sometimes I don't pray before I eat, because she's a creature of habit. 7 o'clock she'll eat dinner. So she'll prepare her, I start preparing it for her, and then she'll prepare her next meal. And then she'll heat it up, and then she'll sit at a table and she'll just pray. And before we go to bed, she'll come in my room and we'll pray, and then we watch this Christian videos of Superbook. I don't know if anybody knows what Superbook is, but it's really a cute animated stories about the Bible, kids being in the Bible stories of different characters, and it's just really fun. And that's our bonding time too. We have bonded through that, because after the separation with my ex-husband, and I had even prayed, I'm like, Lord, can you please give me something so we can bond even in a deeper level. And this is what came to my mind, before going to bed. It's so important to be, to do something with your child that is positive, so they feel secure, because her life felt, shattered. There's losses in her life that, she felt lost. And so I wanted God to help me to help her to put those pieces together, to feel loved and not rejected. So anyway, so that's a thing that we still do today. And it's been, I don't know, maybe 5 years since. So it's been really special.
You mentioned in a book that when she was very young, she would talk to the angels. That was, I thought that was cool. All right, now, I mean, proms are so special to our kids in school. Uh, I mean, it's that's everyone's goal, is to get to the prom. So you have created a prom. You
Mhm.
are having proms for these kids. They're not kids, but
Mhm.
I am
Kiddo heart.
excited about this, and I can't wait. Well, I'm gonna let you talk about it because I don't want to talk about it. Go ahead, you.
All right. Well, I started prom about, maybe, I want to say, about 7 years ago. Um, with Young Life Capernaum, they would have prom, but they would have it at their church, and they would be kind of smaller, very smaller scale. And I was looking at it, and I started studying that kind of prom. And this was not here on the island; it was different other states. In Arizona, I was looking at the one in Arizona, and I was like, wow, this would be great if we could have a prom here. Because a lot of these kids there haven't had a chance to go to their prom in school. And I'm like, I'm praying, because I pray about everything. And I'm like, Lord, I really want them to experience a prom here on the island. And so I went over to the Sheraton, and I started looking, and I'm like, okay, and I'm starting to just scope the place out, and I'm like, wow, this will be great. Who can I talk to? And I talked to Barbara. And so anyway, so then, to make a long story, it was a Courtyard Marriott back then. And so I went, and I was like, hey, Barbara, and I told her my story, and I said, this is what I want to do for these kids. Are you on board? Would you like to be a part of this? And she's like, by all means, yes. So we did our first prom over at the Courtyard Marriott. And I had a friend that videoed and interviewed our former mayor, and Bernard. And he was like so excited. I remember going into his office and sharing my heart with him, and saying, hey, this is what we want to do. And this is even before prom. It was like during camp. And um and so and then and then it was prom, and he's like, yeah, Anna, whatever you need, I would love to be there. And sure enough, and we've had so many people in there, so many VIPs. And the way that we do it, that we model, is we have um, a peer with, it could be a high school peer with our special needs, and we call our special needs VIPs, very important people. And so they have like a partner for that night. and they are their friend for their night, and they just so that to make them feel so special. And so everybody would get dressed and get their hair and makeup done. So we have volunteers to do their hair and makeup before the prom. And these are volunteers that they are professional stylists and hairdressers. And so they love it. I've had someone that has been doing it for all 7 years. And they're like, Anna, let me know when the next one is. And I'm like, sure. I've even had to turn people away from volunteering because they're so excited. They want to see how they're shining. Just the, oh, it's amazing. So the first year it was great to do it at the Courtyard Marriott. And the second year, then we outgrew it. The third year, I think we did it at the Hyatt, and then the fourth, fifth year, we did it at the well, it was the Marriott back then. Now it's the Royal Sonesta. And then during the pandemic, well, we had to really scale it down, so we only did it at the church. But this year, I prayed, and I'm like, okay, Lord, I'm ready to um, I'm ready to do it at the hotel again. Would you show me? And so then I asked the Royal Sonesta for the price, and I was like, whoa. I went back to God. I'm like, Lord, I don't have that money, but you do. So show me how to do this because I have no idea. I get this call from the mayor's office a few weeks later, and they're like, hey, we're having this I guess this grant that is coming out, and we're just wondering if you'd be interested. And I'm like, wow. It was like an answer to prayer. It was exactly the money that I needed to be able to do the prom at the Royal Sonesta. Now tell me if that's not God, because they did not communicate. I asked her, the catering person, and I'm like, did you talk to the mayor or anyone in the office? She's like, no. I was like, okay. I'm like, that's God. So we are able to do the prom this year at the Royal Sonesta, because you know what? This is how I see it. I see it that if we care about these kids, God cares about them even more. But what happens sometimes, we're just satisfied with the crumbs that we ask for. We're just asking for crumbs when God wants to give us this banquet. He's like, okay, I want to give the best to these kids, so ask for it. Ask for it. I'll give it to you. We just have to be the pioneers. Are we willing? Are we willing? And this is the reason why I wrote my book, because we're a lot of us are scared to be that voice, to be pioneers. And I want to be the pioneer and say, hey, if I can do it, you can do it. Because there's people that I can reach, that I can encourage, okay, that maybe that I cannot encourage these other people that in your circle. You see, and that's why this book I really highly recommend it, because I know it's going to inspire people to say, wow, okay, she did it, and I have this other group that I want to go ahead and encourage. Maybe I should be that voice. I have a story to tell. So anyway, that's what I have.
And I'm going to ask you a little bit about the book, but when's the prom?
The prom is Saturday, November 17th. That is at the Royal Sonesta. All of the VIPs, these are the intellectual disabled, that there is a form that they have to register. They have to fill in to register. And I can go ahead and give you the link, so then they can go ahead and register. So we're trying to get as many registered by December 31st, so then we can also get the volunteers that we need, because it is space limited. It's definitely space limited, so we have to be everything has to be within the budget.
So we'll have all of the links. You'll see it on the screen as well as in the description of this video, just so you can. Anna, you have a website, right? Is it Anna Munoz
Yes.
Live?
.com.
Anna
Very easy.
Munoz, yeah, I like it. Anna Munoz Live. if you want to reach out, and obviously, if you want to, I highly recommend purchasing the book. It doesn't come with the tabs. You got to put your own tabs. But AnnaMunozLive.com, yeah, that's what it looks like. And I got to ask you, so you come up with this idea, and I want to write a book. I'm going to write a book, and I'm not sure how long did it take you from when you said you were going to write a book till the book came out. How long was that?
Okay, so this doesn't happen to a lot of authors, but I started writing January of this year. I
Wow.
finished writing in April, and I published my book in October this year. The reason why is because I had a coach. I had a coach. They're from Australia. I did find them through Facebook, which is, definitely an answer to prayer, because it started with a thought. I'm like, okay, I'm going to write a book. I'm going to go ahead and start writing my story. Now, I've been journaling for many, many, many years, since high school. Okay. Um, but I just felt like, okay, and I even prayed about it. I'm like, Lord, what should I write about? Because I have a lot of stories to tell. I have stories about the restaurant, about the clients, about when I was going through cancer, when, I could have written, but it was just like, no, you're going to write about your daughter. And I'm like, okay, all right. That is the community that God has given me, is the special needs. And um, so yeah, so it took me about less than a year.
Wow. And an Amazon bestseller.
Yes.
It hit the Amazon bestseller list. And
Yes. Yes.
I well, I didn't know that you had just started to write this book. I didn't know this was all done in less than a year, but that's
Hmm.
impressive.
Hmm.
And I just want to say, folks, whether it's you or someone you know, or
Hmm. Hmm.
uh, this is book is full of nuggets for everyone, not just for parents of special needs children. I learned a lot from this book, um, just in the stories, and there's a lot of scripture in here, and just the passion behind the writing is amazing. It's not. It's just like it's probably gonna be one of my favorite books. And I tab it so I know where to go back. We all need inspiration. Anna, you this book is a gift for so many people. And by the way, speaking of gifts, it is Christmas, so you might want to go to AnnaMunozLive.com, and you can get your books there. But you can also reach out to Anna, and if you want to support any of the things she's doing, the prom, or the
Hmm.
resources are all there on that website. So
Yes.
um,
One more thing. So I'm going to be speaking at the library on December 29th, and I'm going to be speaking a little bit more detail about my book, and also I'm working on a children's book. And the children's book is something that is going to really help siblings with special needs, kid friendly. And so I think that that's something, a message that, kids that grow up with siblings with special needs need to be encouraged. And also for, you know to how to deal with a hard situation like that. So that's my next journey. Yeah, besides, also I'm going to be working on, and you can look at it on my website, all my next things that I'm planning to do. One of them is doing a nonprofit, and also building an orphanage in Mexico. I went to Mexico on a mission trip this June, and it's been in my heart for a very long time, but it was collecting dust, that dream, and it came back up again, alive again. And so I want to build an orphanage for special needs in Mexico by Tecate, and I already have someone that I met, and we might be working together. She has a home that she teaches women that had been sexually abused, and they are now are out of that, being trafficked, and so she's teaching them vocational skills, and so we might be working, side by side. And so yeah, I'm excited what God has in store for the next thing, and you're never too old, so don't wait until you are.
He's got you working hard. December 29th. Which library are you going to be at?
So
And
Lihui
what
Library
time?
is that is going to be at 2. And yeah, so it's going to be at 2 o'clock. I'm going to be sending you a flyer, and I'm probably going to be posting on my Facebook. So look me up on Facebook. And that's going to be December 29th. That is, I believe, a Friday. I don't know.
That is a Friday.
Okay,
That
cool.
is a Friday.
There's so many dates that I have to, follow, and I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah, so it's after Christmas, but still, I'm really reaching out to the teachers and parents, and so yeah, I think that this is something that they can definitely benefit. Um, mhm.
Well, Anna, thank you very much for joining us. I appreciate it, and congratulations on your book.
Thank you.
Guys, Anna Munoz live.com. Again, all the links are in the description. If you want to know what Anna's up to, you'll find it on her website. Keep up the good work, and God be with you. And we're praying for you, Anna, and all the good that you're doing. And when you get that orphanage up in Mexico, we can do a live video while you're there and I'm here, and we can share the story. How's that?
That would be awesome. That would be awesome.
All right, folks. Again, thank you for joining us here on Coconut Wireless. Ana Munoz, best-selling author, and so much more. Thank you. You guys stay safe. God bless. We love you all.
Bless you. Goodbye.
Aloha.
Aloha.